When Donald Trump returned to the White House 1 month ago, the establishment told you nothing would change. In fact, they told you that he would destroy democracy. Remember that? Well, they lied. In just 32 days, President Trump has signed 73 executive orders, more than double what Biden managed in the same time frame. But it's not just about numbers. Trump's orders are actively dismantling the deep state apparatus piece by piece. Small business optimism is soaring. The border is secured, and that is just the beginning. Coming up, we're going to show you exactly how Trump's first month back is transforming America and why the establishment is in absolute panic mode. And you won't believe what happens next. And you know what the establishment doesn't want you to understand? The connection between Trump's first month and your personal health. While he's signing 73 executive orders to restore America, you can take 73 seconds to restore your health with this breakthrough collagen formula. Just as Trump is rebuilding America, you can rebuild your body's collagen levels. The results are incredible. I use it myself. Visit healthwithgary.com to get 51% off this revolutionary multi-collagen formula. It's about more than looking younger. It's about taking control. That's healthwithgary.com. Okay, this was just a few moments ago. Howard Lutnick officially sworn in as a Secretary of Commerce. And as you know, he's one of the big advocates for ending the IRS. Wouldn't that be something?
Put your hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Howard Lutnick.
I, Howard Lutnick.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
I will take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
And I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary. Put your hand on the Bible.
Oh, yeah, baby. And the IRS. We also had the Black History Month event at the White House. The black voters are waking up. We'll have that later in the show. That's my live hit from the White House. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Yeah, the first report that I filed just outside the White House. It was cold, and my tripod almost fell over. We're going to show you that later in the show. But here we have this. Andrew Klavan, Daily Wire, 23 hours ago. By far, my favorite thing about the Trump administration has been this.
It is by far my favorite thing about the Trump administration has been the absolute decimation and destruction of the mainstream media. It has been like that scene in Game of Thrones where the woman has to walk naked through the streets while people shout shame and throw rotten vegetables at her. Except it's been better because it's been the mainstream media walking naked through the streets. And they've just been reduced. And I knew this the moment...
No one wants to see that, Drew.
The moment the results of the election came in, this kind of blanket of peace passed over me because I realized what had happened, that we'd beaten them.
And that was death, Drew.
Yeah, that may be death, yeah. But it couldn't have happened without Trump. It couldn't have happened without Trump. But it couldn't have happened without us, too, and all the Joe Rogans and all the podcasters and all the small media that grew up suddenly and exposed them for what they were. And the benefits, the side benefits of this, is it has put a little tiny bit of steel in the Republican Party. These guys, you know, this place that we're in right now is surrounded by media like this steel bubble, I should call it. And they think when the New York Times says something, it's the people talking. They think, oh my gosh, it's in the New York Times. My career will be destroyed. And now they realize it's in the New York Times. A bird is going to crap on it, and no one's going to remember what anybody said. By far, my favorite thing about...
Oh, you got to love it. It's happening. Here is President Trump. 4 hours ago, yesterday, I had Tim Cook in the office from Apple. What's going on there?
Hope I didn't announce. Yesterday, I had Tim Cook in the office from Apple. He's investing hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't know. I hope he's announced it. Hope I didn't announce this, but what the hell? All I do is tell the truth. That's what he told me. Now he has to do it, right? So it's a good. but he's investing hundreds of billions of dollars, and others too. We're going to have a lot of chip makers coming in, a lot of automakers coming in. They stopped 2 plants in Mexico. They were under construction, starting construction. They just stopped them. They're going to build here instead because they don't want to pay the tariffs. The tariffs are amazing. It's good. I got myself in a lot of trouble. I said it's my favorite word in the dictionary, the word tariff. It's such a beautiful word. And the fake news killed me. They said, what about love? What about God? What about family? And they said, I'm in trouble. I said, so now it's my 4th favorite word. I say, love, God, family. A couple of others I could add in there too, but it's my 4th favorite word. So yesterday I had...
See how they try to spin it? Because he didn't put God and family and country first. He put tariffs first. Yeah, that's the mainstream media. That's why they're dying on the vine. Here we have just 24 hours ago. Truly patriotic Americans are supporting President Trump. That's right, baby.
Somebody else's property.
Guy just yells in the street, Trump 2024. What makes you love Donald Trump?
If you're truly a patriotic American, how could you not love Donald Trump? If you actually are somebody that does your research and your due diligence as opposed to being pushed by somebody else's propagandist talking points, how could you hate Donald Trump? He's the most popular businessman in American history. If you wanted a movie to be popular throughout all of before 2016, who has the most cameos? I find it funny that as soon as he became a Republican, he became racist. But name me that racist that won an NAACP award. I'll wait. Didn't we have peace around the world when Trump was in office? Why are we in war right now? Oh, and for that daggone bill y'all want to keep talking about the border? Well, y'all okay with the administration giving $60 billion to Ukraine so they can put 1,500 at the border? Here's something else deeper for you to think about. Didn't they leave millions and millions of guns in Afghanistan unguarded and unattended and left the country? Directly after that, Xi Jinping and Putin came down and gave them legitimacy. Well, what happens after that? Oh, didn't Biden give Putin access to a gas pipeline? And then directly after that, he went to war with Ukraine. And then was it a coincidence that one of our basketball stars got locked up in Russia and we traded her for Victor Boot? So we traded the Lord of War for Brittany Griner with a whole bunch of unattended guns in Afghanistan. That's what you voted for. That's better than Trump. You need to wake up, bro.
Wow, that guy is definitely learned, man. Holy cow. Quite the message that he is sending there. And we've got this. President Trump, did you see this today? 4 hours ago, Trump gets into a battle with the governor of Maine over allowing men and women's sports. Let's check this out. This was in the state dining room at the White House earlier today.
It's just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die, and it's crazy. But the NCAA has complied immediately. By the way, that's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here? The governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility.
Dude, that was brutal. That was freaking brutal. Oh, man, right there in the White House, President Trump just laying it down. Speaking of laying it down, here's Secretary Sean Duffy. New York's congestion pricing scheme is coming to an end.
Why can't New York City determine what it wants to charge for people to come in and out?
So we give them the authority, number one. And so the American taxpayer, the New York taxpayer, funded those streets. And the way the governor set this up is, she said, even though you already paid for these streets, you can't use those streets unless you pay an additional toll. Well, if I'm the taxpayer, I'm like, I already paid for the street. Why am I paying an additional toll to the taxes I already paid? There's no free pathway into that cordoned area, right? So if you're a middle income or a lower income shopper or worker, you can't access public roads by any means into this area, that's flat out wrong. And we've never had a program like that where there's not a free public road to get in to a certain area, number one. Number two, she never did a study to say, I really care about congestion. I want to reduce congestion, so I'm going to look at how much money should I charge in a toll and how much will that reduce congestion. That analysis was never done. So instead of paying $9, could someone pay $5 and reduce congestion, or $3 to reduce congestion? She didn't do that. She set a pricing, and so maybe the question is, why did you set it at $9? What was the purpose of setting a $9 toll? If it's not for congestion, was it to raise money for public transportation? I don't know. But again, that's the analysis I think the taxpayer would expect. And if we're going to give approvals, I want to make sure the public can access this cordoned area on some of the roads that they paid for. I want to make sure that if she's going to charge a fee, a toll, she's going to charge an amount that's going to actually reduce congestion, not just...
Wow. Donald Trump already making the roads great again. Here we have 24 hours ago, I was actually in the room here at the press conference. I was standing along the right side of the wall. Had an interesting exchange with some of the members of the photography press pool who didn't really seem to like me there. No, they didn't like that Gary Franchi from the Next News Network was going to be recording the event. No, they didn't like my tripod, so they came up and told me the White House Press Correspondents Association has said you can't have a tripod here. Okay, so fine. I broke it down. I broke the tripod down and then put my gimbal up with my phone and got the whole thing anyway. We streamed it to you live last night. But let's listen to this moment when the White House Deputy Chief of Staff gives the fake news a civics lesson.
Democratic will. It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, just one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers of the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people. It is.
Yep. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. I was there. I saw it. And the gasp in the rooms when he took on the fake stream media was amazing. Here we have this from Real America's Voice. Looks like it's hard to stomach these ladies because they're so radical. Conservative joins special report to discuss The View, blaming Delta Airlines crash. Oh, my goodness.
He can do.
So let's go over to the Trump supporting show, The View, more like the Trump haters club. The things they report are often one-sided. Now, they are blaming Trump for the Delta airline crash in Toronto. How on earth are they putting these pieces together?
I have no look. Trump can cure, the most contagious disease in the world. He can do anything, and it's his fault. It's always his fault. These ladies it's really hard to stomach these ladies because they are so radical. I think there's one host on the panel who actually said the other day, what do you want me to do? Said this to Whoopi, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to agree and then disagree about things, but it doesn't seem like we can have a conversation. And that's the problem here. Most of these women, there's nothing that you can say, that Trump can say, that we can say, that's going to change their bias towards Donald Trump. I don't even think the plane crash was here. It was in Canada. So I don't know. Maybe that would be Trudeau's fault.
So let's
Trudeau's fault indeed. Here we have the older millennial posting this. Things are always better with a little historical context. What's going on here?
Plane crash.
A plane crash has occurred in Marana, Arizona.
You're watching liberal news, you're probably wondering, why are all these plane crashes happening? Like, there's never been this many plane crashes. It must be because of Trump. For those of you who think that way, let me introduce you to the NTSB's monthly accident tracker. In January of 2025, there's so much talk about the awful things Donald Trump has done to the FAA. There were 62 accidents. January of last year, there was 80. In 2023, there were 89. 22, there was 82. 21, there was 74. Back in 2020, there were 89. So every single year Joe Biden was in office, there were more crashes in the month of January. But the news didn't tell you to panic about that. They told you to panic about 62. Oh, and in February, where all these crashes are happening, there was 25. February of last year, there were 93, then 81, 99, 90, 96. Guys, if you're losing your shit over 25, wait till we get to these months. Please recognize that if you're only panicking because the media told you to, you're a fucking sheep.
A plane crash has
Yep, that's what the mainstream media does. Holy cow. Here's President Trump unloading on Zelensky on Air Force One. People are in panic mode over this.
What happened?
Can you resurrect that deal? Is there anything that you can do?
I think I'm going to resurrect it. Or, you know, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to resurrect it, or things are not going to make him too happy. And look, it's time for elections. Haven't had an election in a long time. It's wonderful to say, you know, we can't have an election, but it's time for elections. And it's also time to find out what happened with all the money, because he made the statement that half of it, he doesn't know where it is or something like that. And I'd like to find out all the money that we've been sending to Ukraine, where is it? And I can tell you we're doing very well with Russia. We're going to do something with Russia that he was unable to do. We can make a deal with Russia to stop the killing of, you know, potentially additional millions of people. The soldiers are being just wiped out on both sides. Wiped out. It's horrible. You know, the weaponry today is so powerful, so, you know, strong, that it's killing a lot of soldiers. And I don't want to see soldiers. They're Russian and they're Ukrainian. I don't want to see those soldiers killed. They have mothers and fathers. They have sisters and brothers. I don't want to see them killed.
President Trump working for peace. President Trump, of course, also this. Real Donald Trump gets asked, what's the best advice you've ever received? Just about 24 hours ago. Let's listen.
It was a very hard work.
What is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
Well, I think it was watching my father. You know, my father was a very hard worker, and he just worked hard. And he was very smart. He had good genetics. His brother was the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT, Dr. John Trump. And my father was every bit as smart, but my father had to work. He was older, and he put his brother through school. In fact, he once said, boy, I put him through so much school. He had 3 different degrees, and they asked him to stay on at MIT, but my father was the same ilk. And I noticed that my father was a happy man. And what he did is he worked. He just worked all the time. He worked. And he loved it. And really, I think the best piece of advice I got from that is you have to love what you do. And if you love what you do, you're going to have a happy life. If you don't, I mean, I see so many people, they're in businesses that they don't want to be in. They're in businesses that, you know, they're bored in or they're not good at. They don't have a natural ability at it. There is such a thing as natural ability, whether it's sports or acting or anything else. I mean, some people have an ability for something. Try and find that ability. But you have to love what you do. If you love what you do, you're going to be, at least you have a good chance of being successful.
If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And then we've got this breaking news just 5 hours ago. The DOJ may be releasing the list of that guy that didn't do something of his clients. Check this out. Here's Pam Bondi.
files. That's all.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you.
Well, I'm sure that several people's lives are about to change when that list is released. Here we have more from that press conference I was at. This is Deputy.
He has launched the nation's first
Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller.
He has launched the nation's first ever commission, the MAHA Commission, Make America Healthy Again, following the historic confirmation of RFK Jr. to finally uncover the true root causes of the public health crisis in this country, the childhood disease epidemic in this country, the spiraling rates of pediatric cancer, and devastating childhood sickness. He has finally created a situation where the federal health agencies in this country will be focused on preventing disease, on keeping children from getting sick in the first place, not sentencing them to a lifetime in and out of hospitals, suffering needlessly, when we can find ways to prevent this epidemic of illness.
Finally getting to the root causes of the epidemics, just wreaking havoc on the health of Americans. Here's more. 5 hours ago, President Trump in the state dining room at the White House. Let's check it out.
I can't think of any, but I'm delighted to welcome America's governors to the White House. You're amazing people. Even the Democrats are amazing people, some of you. And we've worked together. Actually, we work very well together. I can't think of anybody. There's one or two, that it doesn't work out so well, but that's sort of normal. But I do want to welcome you, and I want to let you know that anything I can do, I'm here. I'm here for you, and we can do a lot.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. Here we have Mike Waltz. Key part of the conversation was helping President Zelensky understand this war needs to come to an end.
And we're going to.
Zelensky publicly rejected this deal about the rare earth minerals. Where does that stand?
Well, we're going to continue to have. He needs to come back to the table, and we're going to continue to have discussions about where that deal is going. Again, we have an obligation to the taxpayer. I think this is an opportunity. The president thinks this is an opportunity for Ukraine going forward. There can be, in my view, nothing better for Ukraine's future and for their security than to have the United States invested in their prosperity long term. And then a key piece of this has also been security guarantees. Look, the reality that we're talking about here is it in Ukraine's interest? Is it in Europe's interest? It certainly isn't in Russia's interest or in the American people's interest for this war to grind on forever and ever and ever. So a key part of his conversation was helping President Zelensky understand this war needs to come to an end. This kind of open-ended mantra that we've had under the Biden administration, that's over. And I think a lot of people are having a hard time accepting that. And then the other piece is there's been discussions from Prime Minister Starmer and also President Macron about European-led security guarantees. We welcome that. We've been asking Europe to step up and secure its own prosperity, safety, and security. So we certainly welcome that, and we certainly welcome more European assistance. As I told my counterparts, come to the table with more if you want a bigger seat at the table. And we've been asking for that for quite some time.
Yeah, come up with a plan. You don't like our plan? Bring something to the table. I mean, why does America always have to do the heavy lifting? Well, it's because the rest of the world just doesn't know how to lift anything. Here we have the White House Deputy Chief of Staff 7 hours ago, James Blair, 47, saying it's great to have an energetic leader running circles around. Oh, boy.
A lot of it, if not. You know, the president has thought deeply about what he wants to accomplish in the time he was not in the White House, obviously. And he's been spending a lot of time planning and obviously asking his team to plan the actions that we've executed so far. So I get asked a lot, was all this planned? And, you know, obviously new ideas come up every day, but a lot of it, if not most of it, was planned. He's fought deeply since he left the last time around, and he knows that he wants to accomplish a lot in a short period of time. So really, it's all of us just playing catch up with the president. It's great to have an energetic leader. He runs circles around all of us. He doesn't sleep. He works all the time, and he's really committed to making this time in office very useful for saving the country. I mean, he's just going to do what he said he was going to do, and that's it. You know,
Yeah, and Joe Biden couldn't get anything done because he was sleeping all the time. Here we have more. This is from Mike Walsh, 47, at that press conference.
Call, President. I just want to push back on this notion of our European allies not being consulted as we've entered into this process. I already mentioned the immediate phone call President Trump made to President Zelensky. He has talked to President Macron of France repeatedly last week. President Macron convened European leaders and then is coming here on Monday. Prime Minister Starmer is coming next Thursday. I've talked to every one of my national security advisor counterparts across the spectrum in Europe. I've talked to Secretary General Rutte, the leader of NATO, the Secretary General of NATO. We have repeatedly, oh, by the way, we had half our cabinet, 7 cabinet officials, including the vice president, at the Munich Security Conference, all engaging, all listening, and all making sure our allies are heard. However, we've also made it clear for years, decades even, that it is unacceptable that the United States and the United States taxpayer continues to bear the burden, not only of the cost of the war in Ukraine, but of the defense of Europe. We fully support our NATO allies. We fully support the Article 5 commitment, but it's time for our European allies to step up. And one of the things that Secretary General Rutte said on our call was, this last couple of weeks have been a real wake-up call. And I asked him, what have you been missing the last couple of years? The fact that we are going to enter into a NATO summit this June with a third of our NATO allies still not meeting the 2% minimum, a commitment they made a decade ago, literally a decade ago, with a war on their doorstep, the largest war that they're all extremely concerned about, but yet it's, well, somebody else needs to pay. We've got other domestic priorities. It's unacceptable. President Trump's made that clear. And the minimum needs to be met. We need to be at 100% in this June at the NATO summit. And then let's talk about exceeding it, which is what President Trump has been talking about with 5% of GDP. Europe needs to step up for their own defense as a partner, and we can be friends and allies and have those tough conversations.
Yep, they need to step up, okay? Do we have to keep footing the bill for everything? Here we have the White House. This is Paul Zipula. The White House is looking to sell the Nancy Pelosi Federal Building in San Francisco. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, poor Nancy.
It's on the buildings. White House is looking to sell the Nancy Pelosi Federal Building on 7th Street and the century-old building at 50 United Nations Plaza. The Trump administration says it will save money by avoiding maintenance on the buildings, selling the properties, then leasing office space for federal workers. Former Congresswoman Jackie Spears says it's just about vengeance.
It's another example of how he's coming after Democrats, he's coming after California, and it's all about payback.
White House.
Yeah, well, maybe it is. So keep crying. We have more here. Matt Schlapp talking about the resolution condemning the CCP at the CPAC International Summit. Actually, I was at that international summit.
Gordon Chang wrote a very important resolution. By the way, these resolutions were supported by all the nations that were assembled at our second annual CPAC International Summit. We are working not as government entities, but as entities outside government to push for these policies. And Gordon Chang wrote a very important resolution to combat the Chinese regime, the communist regime in China. And I want all of these despots and dictators to know that Donald Trump might talk to you. He might make you feel like you're welcome because that's part of his job. But in the end, we have a president that's going to stop you cold in your tracks. And all of these countries accepted that resolution as well.
Yeah, we're not playing anymore. Here's the NEC director, Kevin Hassett, talking about small business optimism. Of course, it's raging back.
ISM, which is small business optimism, has gone up by the most ever since President Trump came in. ISM, which is the measure of what's going on in manufacturing, it's expanding again for the first time in years. CEO confidence is the highest it's been in years. And the reason people are thinking this is that our policies give people cause for optimism. Small business optimism has gone up by the most ever.
Optimism is back in America. Here we have Secretary Wright. What's he going to say?
In electricity prices, just in the previous administration, during President Trump's first term, almost no change in national average electricity prices. All of a sudden, a huge rise in electricity prices, rise in gasoline, rise in energy across the board. So what was the response to that? Well, the United States is the dominant producer of natural gas, and we have a booming industry exporting natural gas to our allies around the world. Well, let's stop that. Let's ban new permitting of LNG export terminals. And then to add insult to injury, a whole bunch of regulations were rolled out to limit your ability to buy the appliances you want. You may want to buy that appliance, but the new appliance you're allowed to buy costs more and works worse. My dishwasher has to run for 2 hours now, and at the end I got to clean the dishes. My clothes dryer works at half the power. In theory, this is saving energy. It just takes twice as long to dry our clothes. These are just nonsensical things that have hurt people's lives and driven prices up. President Trump came in, and he is strong, and he is bold, and he gets energy. His goal was, we're going to bring back common sense. So what's the plan? Drill, baby, drill, and build, baby, build.
Let's go, baby. American energy is back. And here is the press secretary. I met her later that evening in the press room. She came on, did a surprise appearance, got a photograph with her. We were standing right there at that lectern when she came out. It was amazing. All the press had pretty much gone for the night. But me and Tom were there. We were working late, and we had a unique opportunity to meet her. Let's take a listen.
Sealed. Today marks 1 month of President Trump's return to the Oval Office, and there is no denying this administration is off to a historic start. The president has already signed 73 executive orders. That is more than double the number signed by Joe Biden and more than quadruple the number signed by Barack Obama over the same period. These executive orders have ended burdensome regulations, sealed the border, unleashed our domestic energy sector, eliminated divisive DEI from our federal government, stopped the weaponization of government, cut waste, fraud, and abuse, reinstituted America First trade and foreign policies, and ultimately restored common sense. The president also signed the Laken Riley Act into law, which ensures ICE will detain illegal aliens arrested or charged with theft or violence. As of today, the Senate has already confirmed 18 cabinet-level nominees, which is more than at this point under the Obama administration in 2009, and more than double the pace of the Biden administration in 2021. And today, we expect Kash Patel to be confirmed as the next director of the FBI. We are proud to
and he was confirmed.
Announce that the president will host his first official cabinet meeting here at the White House next Wednesday, February 26th. In just 4 weeks, President Trump has already hosted the leaders of Israel, Japan, Jordan, and India. And next Monday, the president will host France's President Emmanuel Macron. And on Thursday, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit the White House as well. Today marks
1 month, baby. 1 month. Here's that picture of me and the press secretary at that. Let's see, where is it? I just posted it. It'll show up eventually, I guess, right? Oh, here it is. Boom. There I am right there with the press secretary. Yeah, the mainstream media melting down. Gary Franchi is in the press room, baby. Buckle up. Buckle up. Yeah, the party is only beginning. Let's continue this glorious report with so much happening. Okay, my goodness. Here we have the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Now he's just been confirmed today, and let's hear what he's talking about with the budget.
Bring it down. Inflation ticked higher in January. I know you guys weren't in charge, but I'm curious, how much rope do you think you have on this issue? How long can it go before you really have to bring it down?
So I don't think it's a problem at all. Because we're reducing the budget deficit, you're going to see interest rates come down. Because we're making moves like the Constitution pipeline on the East Coast of the United States. Imagine Governor Hochul's been blocking a pipeline that will halve the price of natural gas to New York and all of New England. So as those things come down, you're going to feel interest rates coming down. We're going to pump more oil, the price of energy coming down. Constitutional pipeline brings down the price of gas. All these things drive down and counter any sort of inflation that's out there. You're going to see a much better economy.
Okay, all right, but inflation
it's only beginning. It's all going to take root. Here we have a Wall Street Journal columnist, Abigail Shrier, illustrating how California liberals she knew were relieved when Trump won because they felt free to speak their mind. What?
I don't feel like I know. Were you surprised by the result? And what are your general feelings about a second Trump term? We'll start with Abigail.
Well, I don't make political predictions. I don't feel like I know who's going to win a particular election. And I was not someone who sort of formed an idea of who is certainly going to win. But if you were following the media, you were surprised because it really did look like it was going to be very, very close and that we wouldn't know for a while. We certainly were not expecting a decisive victory. And what's that going to mean? Well, I'll just say a few things. The cabinet that he is bringing in so far looks like a good one. It does. It looks like a bunch of people who, yes, a lot of them were canceled themselves. Some, like Jade Bhattacharya, for tremendous bravery and standing up to really the bullies who had taken over a lot of our institutions and federal agencies. And without discussing, every pick, in general, it looks like serious people who want to get back to the business of things that we know are better policies, making government more efficient, but also more responsive, and to stop covering up for the lies.
Yeah, it's over. The lies are being exposed. Okay. Eric Doherty, it's February 20th at noon. Today, I will have been it'll be Trump's first full month in office on a grading scale of 8F. What is your review of his first month? I'll give the guy an A. Here we have more. This is from Real America's Voice. Trump is looking at putting IVF out there for free. Wow.
Of IVF. Did you see Trump's last executive order, the IVF thing?
Yes. Where are all the hysterical left-wing media groups that told us he was going to ban it? Where is the apologies tonight? Oh, nowhere.
Yeah, what people don't understand is an IVF, I have a lot of experience with this, so let's just say I have an intimate experience with IVF. And the gay community is probably the most prevalent user of IVF to have children, because obviously they can't have biological children the same way that a male-female couple can. And so IVF is not only a breakthrough, but he is looking to put it out there for free, for people to be able to use it for free. It costs a ton of money, no insurance. I could speak from personal experience. It's like $8,000 a pop, and they don't all work.
Wow. So that's happening there. Here's from the Daily Signal. Victor Davis Hanson on Trump's counter-revolution in Washington, discussing the misleading information about the first 30 days of the Trump administration's actions. Let's listen.
30 days. It hasn't even been. There's a big difference. This is a restoration. Let's use the word Trump restoration. We don't really appreciate what we've been through with 8 years of the Obama revolution and the 4-year more radical third term of Obama using or employing the waxen effigy of Joe Biden. A revolution that we've experienced was a cultural, economic, political, social revolution. It was very similar to the French Revolution under the Robespierre brothers. We should remember what they tried to do. They changed the days of the week. They renamed things. They tore down statues. They went after the church. Does this sound familiar? This revolution that we've experienced, everything was up for sale. Everything was negotiable. We invented a third gender and rammed it down people's throats. We tore down statues. We said 1776 was no longer the foundational date. It was 1619. We changed the very mechanism that we vote. We went from 70% of the electorate voting on election day to 70% of the electorate not doing that, either through mail-in or early voting. That was a radical change that had no discussion. It was done by fiat. It was incredible. We went. We looked
It's happening, folks. The revolution is here. And what do we have here? This is Paul Zupila. Ian Hersey, Ali, perfectly explains why DEI should be scrapped. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are three wonderful sounding words that are in fact a scheme to do the exact opposite. It's to divide and to create inequality. It's to revive racism. But Donald Trump is shutting that down. Here we have more. Let's see. This comedian, what's going on?
Speaking, before we get into this, I am a comedian speaking on behalf of President Donald Trump and the Republican Party. So, disclaimer, jokes may include such things as sarcasm, satire, poking fun, parody, insensitive remarks about current subjects to get an easy laugh. Let it be known that you've been warned. If you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, or a liberal who doesn't understand how jokes work, or in general, if jokes hurt your pussy, you're welcome to leave now.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one. Here's Secretary Doug Burgum. What's he saying? He's saying, what POTUS has accomplished in our country in 1 month is remarkable. At Interior, we're carrying out his vision to achieve American energy dominance, 30 days of success, addressing national energy emergency, unleashing American energy, delivering emergency price relief for American families, and defeating the cost of living crisis, announcing President Trump's revocation of former outer continental shelf withdrawals, achieving prosperity through deregulation, unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential, and, of course, the Gulf of America. We have more. This is from Stephen Miller about President Trump's transformation.
1 month.
Of America.
No one in this country. Thank you all for joining today our 1 month celebration of the most historic opening to a presidency in American history. No president comes close to what Donald Trump has achieved over just the last 30 days. He has packed 8 years of transformative action, restoring this nation, restoring our laws, restoring fairness, restoring economic opportunity, restoring national security in just 1 month. No one in this country has ever seen anything like it. And when you look at the consequentiality and the significance and the transformative nature of the actions he's taking, it truly defies description. For example, in just one area, this nation has been plagued and crippled by illegal discrimination, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. It's strangled our economy. It has undermined public safety. It has made every aspect of life more difficult, more painful, and less safe. He has ended all DEI across the federal government. He has terminated all federal workers involved in promulgating these unlawful policies. He has ended diversity, equity, and inclusion in all federal contracting. He has restored merit as the cornerstone of all federal policy, restored the full, fair, impartial enforcement of our federal civil rights laws for the first time in generations. And he has cracked down on individuals across this government and nonprofits who have engaged in illegal racial discrimination against the American people. This includes making clear to every educational institution in this country that ending diversity, equity, and inclusion, ending unlawful race discrimination is a precondition of receiving federal funds.
Yeah, baby. And it is only the beginning. 73 executive orders President Trump has signed, and America is on the Trump revolution, and it is beautiful to witness. Now, what we've witnessed in President Donald Trump's first month back in office isn't just historic, it's revolutionary. 73 executive orders, each one systematically dismantling the deep state's control over your life. The establishment said it couldn't be done. They said that Trump would be weaker this time around and he would destroy democracy. Instead, he's proven to be far more effective than ever. From securing the border to confirming Kash Patel, from taking on the deep state to standing up for American workers and energy. That's right, Trump's first month has exceeded even his supporters' expectations. But here is the question we need to ask ourselves, and you can reply in the comments. If Trump has accomplished this much in just 1 month, what does the establishment have planned to try to stop him? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure you check out our MAG Avengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below.